So today's topic will be arrays, and on our big journey, we are learning Java basics and Selenium automation part, right? But today we are going to learn about array, and we'll talk about what it is, why array is important, how to use it. Okay. Very first thing, what is array? So array is like in English dictionary, if you will see, it's same what technically we want to talk about, right? Array. Array is like you have multiple things one by one. In simple English word, I'm saying something which is, one by one is put together, right? But in a particular sequence. Okay. So very simple example is, let's do in program itself so that it will be more clear. Okay. So here we have basic Java. Let's create a new class. And we will say this will be array demo 1. So let's say I want to declare 5 variables. So what I will do, I will do integer a is equals to 10, integer b is equals to 15, integer c is equals to, let's say, 20, integer d is equals to 23, then integer e is equals to 40. Let's assume this, right? Because in my program, if I need 5 variables, right, and some values into that, I'll be declaring it something like this, correct? So when you declare anything like this, integer a is equals to 10, what happens in the background? It reserves 4 byte in memory, and it will put 10 into that, and the name of that variable will be a, means the reference to that variable will be a. It's like this. Similar thing with b, c, d, e here. Let's assume that these are the roll numbers of students. These are the roll number of students. Student A, student B, student C, student D, student E. There are 5 students and you are putting all the roll numbers. Fine. Now the problem with this kind of thing is you have to remember the variable name, first thing, right? You have to remember all the variable name in your program, and the number of lines are also increasing. Another problem with this is, let's say at any point of time, I want to print the value of all the variables. So explicitly, I have to remember all the name, right? And let me write it like this. Correct. Correct. So at any point when you want to print those, you have to remember the variable name and you have to do in this way, right? So if I run this, this will print me all the values of this, right? A, B, C, D, E, right? So this is just 5 variables. If there are 5,000 values, right, which we want to store, which is a very practical example in any school or in any company, there are, let's say for a school, there may be 5,000 students and you want to store the roll number of those students one by one. But then you have to create 5,000 variables. So If you're declaring like this, A, B, C, D, after Z, you have to think about new variable name, right? So it's difficult to maintain. And then if you want to do, print of those things, you have to remember the variable name, and you have to, check. If you, let's say, another question may be like, I want to print only the student name who has roll number 23. Let's assume in this way. But then you don't know where is 23, right? You may remember the variable name, but where is that 23 stored? That is also gone, right? Because there are 5,000 variables, 5,000 values, right? So very basic problem, right? So if there are 5,000 variable I want to do, I have to write 5,000 lines, let's say here, and your program will become very big, first of all, difficult to manage, right? And there will be a lot of problems. Okay, fine. So how to resolve this? So to resolve this, the programming language, right, they suggest one thing. They say that, why don't you store it in array? So what array says is, instead of putting like this, instead of putting the things like this, why don't you put it like this? So another way is integer. Let's say any variable you can take. W is equals to, in the bracket, 10, 15, 20, 23, 40. So it's saying that instead of having, different variable name, you can store it in like this also, right? So let's understand what happens when you do it in this way. Let me open Paint. And okay, when you declare something like this, what happens in the background? It creates different, these boxes with the same size. It's not like it will be with the different sizes. It's all 4 bytes, but randomly it will be allocated somewhere in your system. And obviously this will be, let's say, 10. This will be, let's say, 40. This will be anywhere 15. This will be, what is left, 20. This will be 23. The reference to this is A. This is B. This is E. This is C. And this is D. Anywhere, randomly. It has its own thing. So this is independent. All are independent. A is 10, B is 15, and so on. Whereas when you declare it something like this, okay, array, in an array way, so what happens? Now the arrangement will be little bit different. Okay. Now it will be stored like this. There will be a big box. What will the size of this box? The number of values which you have are all integers, and you declared it like integer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 integer values multiplied by 4, because every integer will take 4 bytes. Okay, 4 bytes. So basically, it will be like this. First value, second value will come here, third value, and fourth value. Okay. Now it will be like this. 10 will be here, 15, 20, 23, and 45. It's not like sorted way. I am taking the values, but it's not like any value This 40, if I put it here, 40 will come here. Fine. Anyways, so now the name of the variable is just W. It's not A, B, C, D, E, only W. And it will be arranged like this. And here, the values will be identified by indexes. Okay. The value is going to be identified by indexes. Earlier, when you have A, B, C, D, E, the values are identified by its own variable name. So 40 will be identified by E, 15 will be identified by B, or vice versa. D will have 23, C will have 20. That's why when you are printing it here, line number 13 to 17, you are doing like printing A, printing B, printing C. Fine. But here in this case, 20, let's say this one. Let's say this one. 20 will be identified by W2. Okay. If I want to identify 20, I'll say W bracket 2. I will say W bracket 2. Okay. And that is rectangular bracket. This is called rectangular bracket. If I want to identify 45, it will be W4. If I want to identify first value, which is W0. So index starts with 0. Okay. So there are two things here. When we are declaring integer W bracket is equals to these many values in curly bracket, that means W0 is 10, W1 is 15, W2 is 20, W3 is 23, and W4 is 40. Okay, very simple one. So here, when I want to print any of this, right? So I will identify those value through its index. Okay. So now I don't have to remember what we say, the different variable names, right? Now I will say W0, W1, and so on. I'm not going to print everything. I just want to show you that it works like this. If I'll run this now, see here, it's printing 10 and 15. Okay. Fine. So there are two things here. When you declare an integer array, so this will be called integer array because you are declaring it with int data type. So all the values at the right hand side should be integer only. Okay. Should be integer only. Fine. So what is the thing here? The thing is the size of the array, size or length, we can use any word. Size or length here is 5. So the number of values which you have will identify the size and length, size or length, right? But index wise, it is starting index or the position is 0 to 4. Okay. Remember this. When you are declaring an array, the size is the number of values which you have, but the index will be 0 to 4 all the time. Every time it will be like this. Okay. Now, what will happen if I will try to print a value which is not present. Okay. So, for example, can I do W7, right? Can I do W7? Is it possible? What kind of error it will tell me? Can anybody tell me? So if we will run this program, let's see what is happening. It's saying me exception in thread may mean java.lang.array index out of bounds exception index 7 out of bounds for length 5. What a great error message it is. right? It is explaining everything. That's why next time, whenever you get the error, right? Um, Generally, whenever people see the error, they they get what we say very much worried that why it is coming, my program should not have error, I'm doing everything right, or they tends to feel that programming is difficult and all, right? Whereas errors are the great mechanism or a way to understand any programming language, to understand the logic behind it, right? A lot of things you will learn through error. Okay, so let's decode this error first. It's saying exception in thread mean. Okay, so what happens is thread here, why they're using thread is because when you execute your program, there may be multiple things can be executed, right? So when we say thread, it's like one of the process. In a simple language, I'm saying, though the technical meaning of thread is something different, but I want to make you guys understand in a simple way. When we say thread, it's like one of the process in your project or the program, right? One of the process, which is your main function, right? There is exception. Exception means the kind of error which your system or your compiler can understand, or runtime environment can understand it, and they can tell you that what kind of exception it is. Okay, so there is a difference between error and exception. Technically, we use the word error and exception, interchangeably, but that's not true or not a good thing in technical sense. Okay, so understand it that when you are sad, right, and when you are frustrated, both are not same thing. Correct? You can use it sometimes interchangeably, right? That I am sad or I am frustrated, but both are different things. In the same way, errors and exception are two different things. Exceptions can come and can be handled through by knowing what are the rules of the program, how it is taken by the compiler, how it is executed, right? So it will tell you that, okay, you are doing something wrong. Whereas errors are difficult to understand. Errors, you have to do lot of backtracking, understanding why that kind of error is coming, right? It's difficult. It's difficult to understand. So there is a technical difference. We'll talk about error and exception later on also. But as of now, understand when you are getting this kind of messages, these are not error. Okay, I am repeating it. These are not error. Technically in Java language, these are exception. Exception means in English language, exception is exceptional case, not in the positive way. We say that you are doing exceptional job, right? So that is in positive way, correct? But when you're getting exception in your program, it's something bad happened. Okay, what has happened? It's saying that based on the Java libraries, one of the libraries Lang, based on that, it's saying that array index out of bounds exception. In simple language, what does this mean? It's saying that you are trying to do something which is out of boundary of the indexes. Very simple one. You're trying to access something which is out of its boundary. Let's understand. The boundary of this array is, it's starting here and it is ending here. It's starting with the 0th index. It is going to the 4th index. Anything out of this will be out of boundary. If you're trying to access W of -1, it's possible, right? W of 2 you can write, W of -1 also you can write. or negative things, right? W of -3, -4, whatever you're doing, it's out of index. If you are anything accessing out of this W5, W6, W7, that will be also out of its indexes. Simple. It's saying us very meaningful thing. Then it is explaining also that what you are doing. It's saying that index 7 out of bounds for length 5. It's saying that your array has length 5, but you are trying to access index 7. Maximum which you can access is index 4. Okay, it's not saying maximum and all, but the thing is, it's saying your length is 5 only. Then in the next line, it is saying you that where is the problem? It's saying it's at practice dot array demo dot main and then the line number itself. So it's saying inside your package practice, there is a program array demo 1 and there is a function called main. In that, there is a problem where it's saying at line number 24. If I click here, it will actually go to that particular line. So debugging in Java is not difficult. To resolve the problem which is there in your system is easy in Java because it will tell you exactly where is the problem. So we have to delete this line. This is not allowed. If I'll do it, it will show me exception about array index boundary. Okay. So I'm not writing the exact exception what it is. If somebody will ask you, hey, what kind of exception will come if you will go out of the boundary? The exception is array index out of bounds exception, technically. Fine. So this is how array works. Now, next thing. This is like hard coding. It's hard coded. You are saying that my variable name array thing is this and these are my values. But in real life, you will be accepting this value at the runtime, correct? So how to declare integer array then? You have to write integer. Let's say the variable name is q or roll number. Why not take the real life thing? Roll number bracket is equals to new int, and in the bracket you have to tell what is the size of this. So let's say 10. So this is the standard way of declaring any what we say integer array. Okay. So what is this? Integer is the data type. Roll number is the variable name for that array. New is a keyword which creates objects. Okay, if somebody will ask you what is new keyword, so new is a keyword, is a reserved keyword in Java which creates new object. Okay, what kind of object it will create? It will create 10 integers. It's very simple. It is going to create 10 integers and it will allocate it to roll number. So what is going to happen in this case? It will create 10 sequences, right? Here in this example, it is creating 5. So it will create 10 things one by one. Okay. 10 boxes it will create. Okay. But everyone will be linked, like 0 to 9, it will be fine in this case. Now, I'm not feeling any value. So now the question is, if I'll try to print roll number of 3, so what it is going to print me? I have not filled any value. So the question is, maybe the interview question also, like if there is no value present in the array, what it will print? Tell me, anybody can guess this? No? It will throw an exception? No. I don't think it will throw the exception this time, because programming language works in different ways. See, it is not throwing any exception. Why it is not? It's saying 0. So what happens, when you are not putting any value in integer array, by default it puts 0. So it's not just roll number of 3. Even if I'll print roll number of 7, that will be also 0. Okay. So let's understand this, that by default Java puts 0. If you're not putting any value, it will be 0. Right? Now, if you want to fill the values, you can say roll number of 0 is 6 and all, right? So roll number of, let's say, we'll think what is there in 7. We'll say, let's say 99, right? So this time, if I'll print again this 3 and 7, right? What will happen? In 3, it is still, means roll number of 3 is still 0, but roll number of 7 will be 99. Okay. It will work like this.